Oh, it's us! It's us! Remember us? I don't even remember us.
I don't. Who are we even?
I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger in that Mad TV sketch. If you're not you, who am I?
It reminds me of the Jim Carrey line. He's like, if you were me, then I'd be you, and I used your body to get to the top. Anyway, here we are. It's been a minute. It's been a while.
And what's been a minute? What's been a while? What are we? What's our show called? I forget.
All right. Well, yeah, I think you should do the honors as it was this is your baby that I helped, parent along. But yes,
it's our baby. You carried it for 4.5 months. I carried it for 4.5 months, and we had a tandem birth. It was a tandem water birth. Mm-hmm. We went to Atlantis with Namor, and we were like, "Help us out."
Oh,
he was like, "Get out of my kingdom."
He's surface dweller, yeah. Oh, yes.
It is Infinity Rewatch.
We're back, baby.
We're back. The Marvel Cinematic Podcast. The Marvel Cinematic Podcast, because I'm sure there are others, but let's be real. They all wish in their heart of hearts that they were Infinity. In fact, I am 99% certain, Ryan, that every other Marvel podcast has at least one episode where the whole episode of their show is just them lamenting that they are not Infinity Rewatch.
Yeah, they wish they had a friendship like ours.
Yes.
To do a show like this.
Exactly. Most of those shows are like two people who hate each other. So it's just, whatever, man. Your opinion on Wonder Man is fine, I guess.
And yet here we are, back again after a few solid entries, some weird ones. It's been some time. So how are we doing this? What's the roadmap? What's the plan?
So because we stepped away for quite a while because our personal lives had caught up with us, and it was getting bananas, and of course the Marvel universe has chugged along, but thankfully not so far that we feel like we have been shut out. Thankfully we only missed like a small handful of things. So our game plan moving forward is to turn this podcast into a monthly show along the veins of an old magazine, because as you can tell from the color of our beard, we're old.
Back when magazines were a thing.
Oh my God. And I would give anything to go back to those times. You remember you see in the mailbox, like there's that extra big folded thing, and you're like, oh my God, that's mine. And you would pull it out. That was the best feeling. So we are hoping to, capture just a spark of that feeling and trickle it into your ears as if it was liquid gold. And that's the plan with Infinity Rewatch, is a monthly Marvel show. And we're thinking probably dropping every episode at the end of a month, so you have something kind of to look forward to throughout April. Everybody knows what a slog April is. Then you can be, it's April 24th and you're like, oh man, I'm getting closer and closer to Infinity Rewatch. That's the world that we're hoping to live in anyway. But since there's so much not so much, but since there's like a chunk of Marvel that we missed while we were off doing our own thing, we decided that our first two issues, if you will be to catch up on those things. Hence the title of the episode you're watching / listening to right now. This is Infinity Rewatch on your left. Part 1! We're catching up. Part 1! Because why leave them dangling when you can leave them dangling in style, like we're about to do. We're getting caught up. We are Falcon, and we're on that track, and the MCU is Steve Rogers, and it paced us, and we're like, okay, we gotta settle the score here. So Marvel's been saying on your left, and now we are doing our best to catch up, and we're also going to recommend Trouble Man while we're at it.
Yes. I love how, I don't know how You did. I know that wasn't scripted. That was not scripted, but somehow magically you were able to put that all together in a beautiful little analogy there, and that was gorgeous. That was just well done, buddy. Well
Thank you. It was exhausting though, so for the rest of the podcast, I'm done. You go.
Well, that being said, we are back. We're going to do this monthly episode thing. So we used to do every release, we would follow up with a show, and that was a tough schedule to keep up. But at the same time, we both feel it's fitting to have that kind of magazine vibe where it's like, yeah, let's do a monthly issue. Let's like deep dive into what's been happening, what we've missed, what we want to talk about. We got some great content here. And that being said, what better way to start it than introduce ourselves once again? Here we are. With me, as always, is Andrew here, or as I like to call him, Fantasia. And me, Ryan J. Whitehead here. And we're going to talk about what we've missed. And we left off at an interesting point because, in my opinion, the multiverse saga, if you will, has been a rough ride. It's had some solid wins, but it's had some awkward entries at the same time that makes you, like, as a Marvel fan myself, it makes me want to go, it was good. I just don't get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or like it just missed the mark or something. And yeah, we missed some solid entries in this one. Which part 2 I'm definitely looking forward to. But part 1 has some gems, and I was looking at our billing lineup here, and I'm excited definitely to talk about some of the interesting options we have here. So for this particular nutshell, we are going to be focusing on Captain America: Brave New World. We're going to talk about Agatha All Along, and we're going to talk about Daredevil Born Again, which the latter, it's for me, Agatha is good, but when it comes to Captain America 4 and Daredevil, those are way more interesting to me. That's where I live. But Agatha definitely came with some interesting approaches, some interesting content to go into that story. So very excited to dive in and really get into that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot to go over there. And, you mentioned how we used to do it where it was by release. And it needs to be said that we decided early on that when a Disney Plus show would come out, we would cover it on an episode by episode basis. And that got hard to keep up with.
Yeah, so it
did. It's going to be interesting covering a show as a whole. Like we're about to do that for 2 shows, and I don't think we've ever done that. But it's going to be I feel so much easier on us to just look at it as a whole and not having to worry about, covering what's out just because it's what's hot right now and we're trying to, be hip on the internet, because God knows there's nothing hip on the internet anymore. The internet has become like the old lady with the backwards hat saying words like hip and G money. It's just trying to keep up with what the internet thinks is cool is no longer cool. And I mean, it's also super thematic and fitting, Ryan, and I promise we didn't plan this, but tonight, the day we decide to just look at shows as a whole, what does the Marvel Cinematic Universe decide to do on Disney Plus? Release Wonder Man as a whole.
They just dropped, and that's the crazy part, is like what blew my mind, and we were just talking about this just before the episode was starting, was like every Marvel series, Daredevil, perfect example. Daredevil, every episode left you on a cliffhanger. Agatha All Along was that classic Marvel formula where it's like they leave you on a cliffhanger at the end of the episode, but because you don't know Agatha really well or her world, you're not really sure what you're excited about, other than the fact that like you want answers. Like you clearly just want to know what's going on, kind of thing. And then in the end, there's some stuff you're left with and you're just like, eh. But yeah, Wonder Man, they dropped Wonder Man and they gave you all 8 episodes. And I don't know if, like you said, I don't know if it's like a lack of confidence in what Wonder Man is and what we're going to get, or they're just trying something different this time and just like, hey, here you go. Like, but it's interesting too, because I actually am tempted to just burn through it and just like see what we yet. Like Daredevil, if Daredevil came out with all the episodes, I would have taken my time. I would have been like, I want to digest this and really like invest in the show. But Wonder Man is an interesting character. He was this character was in an interesting time. I mean, he came out in the kind of the 80s or in the early 90s, kind of the surfer looking dude, maybe even the late 70s and then or 80s time frame. But anyway, surfer looking dude, like, you know, really just kind of, what's up, man? Like it's, you know, you talk about, you know, internet being like this old lady with a backwards cap. Wonder Man was kind of that kid that's just got picking up all the slang. So it's really weird that they dropped it with all 8 episodes, but I hope it's just, apparently reviews are saying it's something completely different and this is going to be amazing and we're all going to be surprised. So sign me up. I'm hoping we get some good character drops or some solid MCU moments because I am craving that. I'm just like a drug addict needing that dopamine hit of like, give me, you know, we are way past any point of just doing a solo isolated character in a series because the world is so massive now and there's so much happening that I just can't stand the fact that like this character is being developed outside of every other character, like just in their own world. And it's like, no, like you could start that way, but by the end, that character should at least have run into 2 or 3 people by the end of their first season. You know, we're just way past that point. We're way past that point. I think, you know, I talk about an interesting example here, like She-Hulk. She-Hulk's a perfect example of what you need to do right out of the gate. She's related to Banner. You need to see Banner, and then that way we're all, you know, we're all feeling that this person's in this world.
Yes.
Moon Knight didn't have that, but at the same time, Moon Knight gets a bit of a pass there because Moon Knight is a very different character, like just a very out there character. And it would take a lot to kind of steer them in, but you can do it. But at the same time, like I said, like we're just past that point. We're past that point. Characters need to be overlapping now, left, right, and center, because this world is now too big and there's too much going on. Yeah, I ranted a little bit. Yeah, I ranted a little bit there, but that's my point. And Agatha is another clear example. I really thought Agatha would be a very overlapping kind of story because of the way WandaVision was done. Because WandaVision is amazing. WandaVision, in my opinion, is one of the top Marvel series out there because it really sets the bar in terms of giving you mystery, but still overlapping with so much that's going on. Because you have Sword, you have Spectrum, you have even Darcy. Like you have so many characters. And one of my favorite characters is growing so well and really demonstrated that was Agent. Oh my God, why am I freezing on it now?
Evil Sword
Agent
Man.
Woo.
Agent Woo. Yeah.
And he was an Ant-Man, and you see him trying to learn the magic, and then in WandaVision, he's like, "Oh yeah, here I'm Agent Woo. Here's my card," you know, making it appear. But like he's really growing as a character, and it's really building into that world. So Agatha, though, really like at the peak of WandaVision has this epic battle, and then we're thrown into Agatha all along, and we're hoping that that's just going to pick up and introduce us to like her angle. Like there were so many questions that we had coming out of it. We had, what is the Nexus? You know, and the Nexus was a big one because the Nexus also has a lot to do with Man-Thing, who we did see in Werewolf by Night, but at the same time, there was no tie-in there. And then on top of that, we had to deal with this Coven, and there was a lot of questions there. So Agatha all along had a lot of stakes already ready to go and ready to build off the story. But of course, it's just so focused in on Agatha. And I love the intro. I thought the intro was so brilliant in this series. You're like, she's like this detective stuck in this spell, and she has to break out of it. I thought that was a way to write an episode. That was so much fun.
Yeah. And even with, hold on, I'm going to change we have this Star Wars background going on right now, and it's beautiful, but there we go. This looks more magic-y and Agatha-y. I'm going to go with that. even starting her off where she's trapped in this hex world that Wanda put her in, and because the whole thing of WandaVision was this transition of television over top of real life to hide from the pressures of real life, this hex world is also TV based. It feels like she just stuck Agatha into one of the 10 million true crime Netflix shows that, you turn on Netflix, you'll see 20 shows just like that one Agatha is trapped in. But she's trapped in a really dark show, really dark hex. There's like a dead kid there. It's nuts. And I didn't know what to expect from that show either, except I felt like they were having a lot of fun with the title. Remember, there was all that stuff of, it's going to be called Darkhold Diaries, and now it's this. And then when they finally revealed that it was just called Agatha All Along, I thought, that's perfect. That tells me what kind of show we're in for. We're just in for a lighthearted, fun Agatha spinoff. But what I was not ready for was how much I was going to care about characters that, had you told me about this show in advance, or had you told me about the characters in advance, I would have been like, I don't want to watch a show about random witches that are not Marvel characters that I recognize, right? Because I'm like you, I want overlap. Let's have Agatha meet Elsa Bloodstone. Because that's, you can still tell a great Agatha story, but it's merging with Marvel. So if you had told me it's just her with random witches, I would have been let down. It was the same way I felt when I found out they were making Peacemaker into a show after Suicide Squad. But it was like, really? We're just going to have a show where he hangs out with like Amanda Waller's accountant and James Gunn's wife, right? I'm like, who wants that? But then the show turned out to be fantastic. So I learned to keep my mouth shut. But with Agatha, I like, as soon as they introduced the concept of, first of all, here's this teen boy who we know is probably Wiccan, but they're not saying it yet. And then you've got all these other witch characters who are set up to go on this journey with her. I thought, this is really fun. And for the rest of that show, like, I was on board, and the whole idea of them being, each one is a different type of witch, and every witch has different color magic. You know how much I love that kind of stuff. So I was like, yep, I'm all on board for this. And I ended up really enjoying Agatha All Along. Not as much as WandaVision, obviously, because the writing didn't reach the heights that WandaVision reached, but it served as a really good sequel show, and it did its own thing without feeling like it didn't feel like a superfluous story. After it was over, I didn't feel like, who cares? Which is unfortunately how a lot of Disney Plus shows make me feel, and not just in Marvel. So it's like, I'm glad that Agatha didn't give me that vibe. Agatha didn't feel like just something they threw on because they wanted content. It really felt like we were moving stuff forward. And then to hear from, I forget who the showrunner was, but the one who said that they have it planned as this kind of trilogy where Wanda gets a show, then Agatha gets a show, and now Vision's going to get a show. And I'm really curious to see if that all ties together in any kind of meaningful way, because that would be beautiful. The Vision show could end in a way that sums up not just his show, but the previous two. I think I would like that a lot.
It would be insanely hard to bring Vision show to wrap up both WandaVision and Agatha, especially Agatha All Along, because I like how you said Agatha All Along is like a sequel, but to my opinion, it's more of an aftermath of what happens to that particular character, as opposed to a sequel to the world and that area of the world that they're trying to tell, like the story that they're trying to tell. What I liked about the show, and what I like what Marvel does with their shows, is how they experiment with storytelling. Because what this show really did well in was, like you said, like they did this detective show, and that was really dark but fun. Like, it was really kind of cool to do. And then seeing her strip down her layers back to becoming Agatha, which was really dope. And then you had this kind of fantasy mystery where they do like a bunch of escape rooms in a kind of cool
way. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and that was really fun. That was a really fun element. My problem is again, like they really, I feel like there's not a lot of attention to the fans in a sense, because they always allude to something, but they never land a plane on what that something is. For example, where the Witch's Road, like what is the Witch's Road? Like aside from it being literally, uh, aside from it literally being what it's called, the Witch's Road, like to me, it could have been something cool. Like it could have been, I can't remember what it's called, but it could have been the world that Mephisto lives in. You know what I mean? Like they allude to it, and they're like, oh, you know, we don't want to say his name, but like Magic could have had a cameo because it tied to Mephisto in some interesting way. So, so there's that, and then what I also liked was they tried the musical element. They tried obviously a Disney element because it's Disney, and yeah, and so what I found was interesting was when I would watch these shows with Isabella, because there are things that were interesting that she really liked. Like she liked the musical part. She liked the detective part. She loved that storytelling. But like for her, she's like, I liked it, but it seemed like she liked it for literally what she was given. Whereas as the Marvel fan, we're always digging for the next clue or and all that stuff, which is interesting because I watched a video today where someone dropped a short that talks about all the Timbits that could lead to Doomsday and how this was planned for a long time ago, and they tied it to Age of Ultron, where the visions that Tony Stark sees could actually have already teased Doctor Doom from the get-go. From the whole thing, and then Loki, and then even going as far as into Loki season 2, and all that stuff. And they were saying in in Thor's vision for Age of Ultron, you actually see a guy in a green hood walking around.
That was me. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, okay.
I was on set that day, and
so anyway, but my point is like, I think the problem with characters like Agatha, who are really niche, like a very specific group, you kind of do have to cater to the fans a little bit and give them some more to like digest and absorb and talk about. Whereas like it's like, oh, it's the Witch's Road, but it could be Mephisto's realm. You know what I mean? It's like, is it? Like, just tell us. Just tell us. Like, don't like. And that was, when we get into another project down the road, I'll talk about it, like fully talk about it then. I'll tease it now, but like obviously we're going to talk about Fantastic Four because that was a big one. I've been waiting. My brother and I have been waiting for that movie forever, as I'm sure you were. I like waiting for a decent Fantastic Four movie to really like. Decent's unfair, but like the comic accurate. Yeah, okay, a decent comic accurate, Fantastic Four movie experience, and they didn't hold back. And I loved in the intro, they're like, oh yeah, there's the Mad Thinker, and there's Mole Man, and like they threw out so many terms for the fans, and it's like, I don't care, I didn't see them, but the fact that you acknowledge they're there, except for Mole Man, of course we see Mole Man, but like the fact that you acknowledge that El Diablo, Mastermind, or sorry, Mad Thinker, and the Red Ghost, even though he was originally in the trailer. He wasn't there this time, but like my point is like they were throwing it out like that. Like they didn't let you think that it could be that person.
Yeah.
They literally threw you in and said, oh yeah, no, there's Diablo there, there's this, there's that, all that stuff.
And I think we're at the point now with Marvel where they're really starting to understand that that's more what people want. Is just cut and dry. And
just a call out. That's all.
And with the Disney Plus shows too, I feel like there's always so much pressure on them. They feel like they want people to keep coming back for the next episode, so they want to string you along, and it feels kind of deceptive. And I'm glad that there's less focus on Disney Plus moving forward, like because that's a whole other story. But I'm glad it's more movies moving forward. But in terms of things being just outright mentioned, how did you feel, Ryan, when in episode 3 of Agatha All Along, they say Mephisto's name for the first time in the MCU?
That was huge. I
Was
mean,
that a big moment?
yeah, Ironheart. We really got the fun part of it, and I got to really get to know Mephisto in a way. But I was shocked that and I think it was shocking because again, here we're used to this formula of like, oh, it could be this, to like literally like, oh, we don't want to say Mephisto's name, and it's like. So Mephisto confirmed, like, you know what I mean? Like it plays to the meme of Mephisto confirmed because they literally confirmed it. And I was shocked because like, again, at the same time, like this character, again, is it's a big character. You can't just, futz your way through it. Like you really have to land it. And I think it was smart. I think it was smart to at least say, look, he exists. All right. And we're working on it in the background. But like, it's just one of those things where it's like, again, like just mention it.
Yes.
And that way we know where the character's at. We know where we know where the character's at. But more importantly, we know that there's a possibility that this character can play in this universe. And that's all I need. That's all I could care. I could care less after that of what you want to do, because now I'm invested. And that was you know what? And that brings me to another part of the answer to your question, which was that to me was the to make me want to invest in the show. Even though it was a bit like, oh, you're just getting the name. In my mind, it was like, okay, but we're playing in a universe. And you mentioned Mephisto. So now I'm gonna pay a little more attention to the show and keep me hooked that way.
And it was also really smart of them to do it the way they did. I wish I could remember the quote. Like, obviously, that was a year and a half ago now. But Agatha says his name very casually. She's just kind of like, somebody's talking about the Witch's Road and whatever. And, oh, what happens if we go that way? And she's like, oh, the realm of Mephisto, whatever. Like, she throws it away. And she would, because Agatha would be super comfy in that pocket of Marvel. She wouldn't turn it into a big she wouldn't pause and stare down the camera and go, Mephisto. No, she knows he's like her uncle, whatever. Right? She just drops his name. And that was so smart too, because for her to talk about him like it ain't no thing, it tells us so much more about her, and B, it tells us that the world we are spending time in, like you said, is worth getting invested in. And references aside and everything, she ended up being a fun character that I wanted to keep spending more time with, because like she was such a jerk throughout the show, but in like the most entertaining way. Like she could not give a damn about what was going on. She was the party pooper for all the other witches, and it was so much fun watching her just play this true anti-hero. And we're rooting for her because we know that there's a heart in there, but she's not buying it. And the idea to pair her up with Billy, I always mix the two kids up. Is this one Billy? Or
what is the other one's name? It's Billy and Tommy. Tommy's the Wiccan.
Tommy's Wiccan. Okay, so the idea of pairing her up with Tommy, I think that was a really smart move and very interesting, considering how villainous a role she played in WandaVision and what that did with the kids there. What did you think of Tommy / Wiccan and how he showed up in here?
I liked it. Honestly, I think that it was a good side story to Agatha. I think it was the core story. I think yes, it's Agatha who pulls you in because we saw what Agatha did in WandaVision, but really it's Wiccan's origin story of being tested to a point where he unlocks his power. I thought that was really cool. But again, I think as a Marvel fan that doesn't know this world that well, I would have preferred half that story, like half the Agatha all along story, and somehow tie it back to the arcing narrative of WandaVision. You know what I mean? Like, I think we spent too much time building this world around and pull that in. Because for me, the other big character here that we haven't even scratched the surface in talking about was Death. In the whole thing.
Trust me, even though we haven't talked about her, I've been thinking about her non-stop. Did I say that out loud?
I mean, Death is it's not fully actualized death that we know from the comics that loves Thanos. It's a different, slightly different, more grounded, which I don't like using, version of the character. But I thought it was interesting because each witch was a different color. Like, and a different color represents a different element, kind of like the Infinity Stones, which I thought was interesting. And also, I found a really interesting video that talked about the theory of color with the different Marvel stuff, and that we haven't even talked about that at the beginning of the show. But remember, this is a monthly show. So next month, we're going to deep dive into more stuff. I'm going to do the best part about having these monthly shows. I get to do more research and present it to you by the time we get to it. But
I hope you have like a chalkboard and like Doc Brown shows up next to you and he's like,
all the string is like wrapped around to something, very question-esque. But the color is starting to become a more apparent kind of a breadcrumb trail. And what was interesting was, if you look at the 4 different teasers or clips that have come out for Doomsday, is each one has a very overarching color.
Ooh.
So if you look at, I can't remember, but I think Captain America's was orange, and then like the whole orange tone throughout, and then Thor's was I think purple, a more purplish tone, and then X-Men was red for reality, which I thought was really kind of interesting, and then Fantastic Four / Wakanda one was blue.
Wow. Okay, I got to go back and watch those and look for that.
Right? So, but that's my point. So anyways, I love the reveal of Death, Aubrey Plaza, just with the skull face and everything. Just, oh my God. I love it when Marvel just goes the extra 9 yards and gives us I wouldn't even say just a comic accurate look, but a comic feeling look.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. It was, oh my God. And she was a fun character to watch. Every scene that had her in it, my attention went straight to her. Not just because of her looks, but she ate up the whole scene. Like, she really took attention from all the characters and made you want to focus in on her.
Yeah. And like, they played her so mysteriously. And I think beforehand, a lot of people were figuring out she was Death. Like, they played it as a twist, but it was, we all were, people are saying that's Death, and it made sense. I'm surprised she didn't talk about Thanos, but I guess it makes sense in a way, because like they didn't go that route with Thanos. They didn't go the route where he's like a lovelorn, psychotic guy.
They only mentioned it once in the first Avengers movie, where it challenged them as to court Death. That was the last any sort of relation we got with Death.
Which is a great little line just to throw in there as like a little bone. But Death was great. She was a great villain for the show. And I ended up really liking what they did with Wiccan, and how he had this arc where it's like, reveal that this was the Witch's Road is his spell. And they had, Agatha and her son had this whole thing, and then it blossoms out of that. And by the way, that song, whoever wrote that Witch's Road song, it is so catchy. And I think that's probably going to go down hand in hand with Star Spangled Man with the Plan for like the best Marvel song. Like, those two songs are really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like
the Hawkeye Avengers one is pretty fun.
It was good, but I don't know, it doesn't touch those two. And when Wiccan showed up in his full regalia with the way the blue crown looked, I was like, there's a Marvel costume. There's a Marvel costume. And I don't think we had seen one for a minute. So it was refreshing to see like a full color Marvel costume brought to life on the screen. Even if it was a small screen, it was nice to see it happen. Now, the ending of this show, we've got a ghost with the most teaming up with a human in a very Scooby-Doo-esque kind of way, it feels like. And now they're going to go off and they're going to look for Billy.
Yeah. because and I think it's because again the kid.
Or sorry, for Tommy, because sorry, I'm looking at the.
No, he's Tommy. Wiccan is Tommy. Billy is the speedster one.
Hold on, I think we have it mixed up because I'm looking at Wikipedia and it says Billy is Billy Maximoff was Wiccan.
Oh, I apologize, my memory is not as good as it used to be, I guess.
Okay, we're old. We can totally have the excuse. We're fine.
Again, they are newer characters. Ones of which I don't follow as well, but so the ghost thing. Let's talk about that. So the ghost thing. The interesting thing is in a Midnight Suns story arc down the road is Agatha is a ghost. So that was kind of a cool way to kind of allude to that. Now, am I saying like, oh yeah, down the road we're going to see her be the ghost for the Midnight Suns if they're, should the plans that they're working on right now continue the way they are? But I thought it was neat. I think it really didn't like. All we know is now that she is a ghost, and they're going to go confirm that Tommy is still alive and like bring him to life as Wiccan brought himself to life.
Yes.
That thing. So that's what they're trying to do, which is cool. There's definitely some sort of they're definitely alluding to some sort of Young Avengers story arc that's happening because we've seen that already with Kate Bishop, and from the Marvels we've seen that with Miss Marvel herself. So
that's right. The Young Avengers are slowly stockpiling them. God knows if they're going to do anything with them because that hasn't seemed to be part of the game plan yet. But they're around. They're not going to be young much longer.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh just turned 30.
Is she that young? Like as a character, though, in the world of Marvel, I don't know if she's that young anymore.
Yeah, Yelena is supposed to be like in her 20s, so. And that movie was a long time ago now, so I guess it fits. But I don't know. I'll tell you what. When Florence Pugh finally returns my calls, I'll ask her. Unless you have anything you want to add about Agatha all along, why don't we rate it and then move on?
I agree. There's not much more I can really say about Agatha, to be honest with you. I think it's a good entry, and I think it added some new variety because, like, again, like they could do a lot with the fantasy world, as we saw with Werewolf by Night, which I really, really love, and Moon Knight as well, which I also really enjoyed. So yeah, overall, I don't think there's much more to add. And like, again, now we have Death, who's a big character. We have some solid villains now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who aren't dead, which is huge. So you could do some pretty creative things with that.
Yeah, it's about time. We got some villains who are sticking around. So our rating system, it took me a minute. I had to remember what our rating system was because it's been so long. But we rate on a scale of Infinity Stones. From 0 stones to 6 stones. And if we like it even more, we give it a gauntlet.
The gauntlet.
So I don't think we've ever given anything 0 stones, which is telling because we're gonna love. You throw Marvel stuff at us and we'll pretty much love it.
There will be a difference for us saying we liked it till we love it. You know what I mean? Like everyone will be like, we liked it, but and then we just full on loved it.
Yeah. Do you want to go first or shall I? I think I know my rating.
I would like to see yours, so I'm going to go first, though. I'm going to pitch mine first. I'm going to give Agatha All Along a solid 5 Infinity Stones.
Ryan, we have the exact same rating, buddy.
I knew it. We've done this before, but I
know.
Yeah, and the reason why I give it's so technically, I guess it's out of 7 if you think about it, because you count the gauntlet. So the reason why I give it that is one, I think the show had great tools to tell a story, and they picked some cool moments to put in the story. Overall, I don't know enough about Agatha to really like love it, and so thus I have this feeling of like I don't get it. That's like seems to be my new thing with certain movies and stuff. Is like it's good. It just didn't vibe with me. I didn't connect with it. And then the other thing was, again, just the old tools of like alluding to something and then just completely moving away from it. Like they kind of fixed it by dropping Mephisto in, and I almost forgot about that. But overall, to me, it still doesn't. They still had that kind of old way of being like, it could be this, and I at this point we're wasting time, and that's the problem with this Marvel stuff is like we don't want to waste time. We want to consume as much Marvel as we can. Every Marvel project should feel like a wrestling match where like you finally get the wrestler that's going to intervene or come out at the moment you want them. Like, you know, it's coming and you know it's going to happen. And then boom, you hear their music and they come running out. And then you're just like, yeah.
As a guy who's only ever watched one wrestle in his whole life, I can only smile and nod at that reference. And I'm sure it makes sense to the wrestling people out there. 5 is a perfect rating, I think, for this one. I'm rating it that high because, for one thing, I just love the magical side of Marvel. The supernatural pocket is just so much fun. Every Doctor Strange movie, there's only been 2, but every Doctor Strange movie has just made my heart smile and just made me say, more, please, more of this. And the fact that all we've gotten outside of those is like Werewolf, I was going to say Monster-in-Law. Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
And like WandaVision and Agatha, it's like we should have 6 Doctor Strange movies by now, first of all. But so to finally get a show that really embraces the magic, because WandaVision danced around it and had fun with it, but it wasn't really about the supernatural as much. But this is just like, this is Halloween in 9 episodes. And it was so much fun. And I already liked Agatha from WandaVision, and then getting to spend more time with her was like fine and dandy with me. And then like to top it off, she became even more interesting. And then you throw Wiccan in the mix, and that's awesome. So like, and obviously death being a thing now, and she could come back somewhere. So I love a lot about this. Ultimately, a bit of the story stuff and what happens to them on the road. I love how you call them escape rooms. Ultimately, that stuff kind of falls by the wayside and I forget about it. That's why I wouldn't rank this higher, because at the end of the day, the problems that the witches had, which were great and well handled and well written and everything, they serve the show just fine, but they don't serve the MCU. And that just halts it a little bit. That just kind of drags it back a bit, because that witch from Renaissance Italy, who was so much fun, who gets to kind of go back into her young body and relive. Like, I'm like, that is such a cool way to close off her character, but I know that's not going to matter in Doomsday, whatever. Like, that has nothing to do with anything. It's just focused on the show's problems. So it's still well made. It just kind of fell shy. That's all. But I liked Agatha all along. And I hope she comes back in Vision Quest, because I think there's a way. I can totally see it being fairly simple to tie it in a way where he's looking for his sons too, and their paths converge. I think that would be sweet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to move on to the only motion picture that we're going to be talking about today, which is, I believe, the last one that we saw together was Thunderbolts. But no, we're going to be talking about Captain America 4, Brave New World, New World Order, the Serpent Society. No, those are all made up.
Super, ultra, arcade remix. Yeah. This one, oh man, this one was so interesting for me, because I'm all about a good Captain America story, and I was excited because, like, Falcon and Winter Soldier, yes please, let's go. And the interesting part is, like, first of all, Falcon and Winter Soldier was good. The more I watch it, the more I realize, like, solid story, great villains. And I love the fall of John Walker. Like, yes, like that was a great story. Mm-hmm. And I've seen a lot of good content out there. And what I've loved about how people are viewing Captain America is trying to define what Captain America stands for. You know, you have Bucky doing one approach, you have Sam doing another, and then you had John doing another. So they're all capturing one aspect of him, and trying to, trying to figure out, like, who, like, again, just trying to build the identity of, like, Captain America. And which the beauty is like, it's what you fight for, it's what you think is, like, enough. And Sam technically has the right avenue, but he challenges himself so much that it holds him back. So there's that story.
Mhm.
Then the problem with this movie, I think, and it's a shame because, again, there's everything going right for me here. This movie is the ideal example of, like, you have all the right ingredients, but there's just too many competing ideas and not enough to create this, like, really whole grounded story. And I think it was a huge missed opportunity because, man, I'm really going to rant through this, but I'm going to try to get us there as quickly as possible. So you have the Hulk story, the Incredible Hulk, which, again, it's a shame that Mark Ruffalo wasn't originally cast, which is funny because he was the number one choice. And then Marvel's like, we should have Norton because he's going to bring in the viewers. And I think that movie is such a critical piece of the puzzle of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's a shame because it does feel separate, but there's so many layers in it. Like, there's so many things I didn't realize. Okay, so first of all, Incredible Hulk talks about the reason why Hulk exists is because they attempted to recreate the super soldier serum. And it failed because they tried the gamma approach. And because of the exposure to gamma, Incredible Hulk, fun all around. And I love the Abomination story. They use the formula. It doesn't create, because, again, beautiful part about First Avenger is Erskine said it best, is that he's like, it amplifies the person within. And they do a good job in Incredible Hulk, where they even go, it already feels like there's a monster inside you, and literally he takes the formula, and then overall the monster comes out of him, which is brilliant. It's just so good storytelling. And so Brave New World had to take the Incredible Hulk's movie, which is like years ago, and try to bring that into the fold. Then you have Falcon and Winter Soldier bringing that into the fold. And then on top of all that, you have a new Falcon bringing that into the fold.
Uh-huh.
And then you have the Widow story, which is another avenue. And then finally, on top of all that, we have the new President story arc with Ross being Harrison Ford being Thunderbolt Ross, and then the new World Order. And again, it was hard to digest that, like, we're trying to play a lot of catch up here, trying to play a lot of, like, oh yeah, by the way, Ross is now elected president. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
well, why are we just learning about this now when you had 40 different avenues of storytelling that you could have used to explain that story? And, instead we get Agatha all along. No, just kidding. But yeah, my point though is, like, you have this opportunity. And even in She-Hulk story barely covered anything with Banner. It was all about her. And don't get me wrong, it was a good idea to build up her character. But the first two episodes actually feel more a part of the MCU than the last four. It was nice to see Daredevil. It was nice to, see all this, like, the, kind of fun meta play that they had on, the guy being all like Wakanda, this rich guy being all Wakanda forever, and it's actually inappropriate and all this. Love it. Love that stuff. All very valid points. But, like, if you look at the first two episodes of She-Hulk, there is a distinct rhythm, an MCU rhythm to it. And it's like, she's a lawyer. Her cousin's the Hulk. She goes on a road trip, gets exposed to gamma. He literally spends the second episode explaining why the Hulk is like a force of nature and how you have to be careful now because you now play a potential. You are literally a walking nuclear bomb if you do not know how to control this thing. And there's a beautiful story arc to that. But they kind of ditch it the second she leaves. And I get it because, yes, if I were her, I'd be like, yo, I think I got it. I think I'm good. But the story should have been more about like literally her not recognizing the danger of being a Hulk. whereas like she just gets it, and it's just, there's a lot of other challenges she has, which is great, but in the end, it lost the main theme, which is if you're a Hulk, what does that mean, and that kind of thing. And the Daredevil element was perfect because she has to juggle being the lawyer as well as being a superhero, and blending the means justify the ends. And there's a beautiful story there, but they have their fun. I love Tatiana Maslany. I think she's a great actor. She was the choice I was hoping for, and we got it. It's a current shame with her and the social climate that she's in right now with Marvel and all that stuff. I don't want to get into it. Don't need to. But my point is, there's a lot to unpack there. So Captain America, Brave New World had a Brave New World to unpack in one movie. And you think they would build it up properly, which they almost did with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but they took so many ideas and threw in Serpent Society on top of that. There's a Sixth Avenue. So there's a lot to do. Anyway, so how do you tell the story? And so some cool things that I really liked from this story was the leader. I think the leader, such a great character, and the leader's still alive. So that another great villain we have to play with. I think they played it relatively safe with the leader, and they only really used him as a story push. But we'll talk a bit about that more later. Then you have Sam really living in the skin of Captain America, which is great. But let's focus on the opening with President Thunderbolt Ross. So this is cool. We got to see him have some highlight moments. I think they should have put in more. I think seeing more jump cuts between like his path to presidency would have been a better way to kind of bridge some time. The Serpent Society thing almost feel like it didn't even need to be there. It was cool to have Sidewinder and of course have Giancarlo Esposito play him. Like, I love that actor, and everyone was like, oh, he's going to be Xavier and like all this stuff. They give him a character that's like on the food chain, just not that high and not that wanting. I don't see a lot of comic book fans being like, oh, I really wanted Sidewinder. Yes, I'm so rewarded for my love of the Serpent Society. And like, and then like on top of that, they talk about adamantium.
Yeah,
we get the lovely nod to whatever happened in Eternals. Thank God that there's some relevancy to that. And they're like, oh yeah, we found this new source. It's adamantium. It's stronger than vibranium. It's this. That's all we get. We literally get like a tease of it, and which is great. Again, love that we're talking about it because we know what it means and we do. But if the themes of Captain America's overarching world is super soldier serum, right? And then it's everyone's idea of how they're going to respond to the idea of creating a super soldier. And that's what the story should be. And overarching, so you have the how do you make one? And then on top of that, you have the arc in the story around what makes one, like what is the key ingredient to make a super soldier, and then what is everyone else trying to do? Iron Man, what I love about Iron Man 2 was perfect because the story was Tony Stark did it, first movie, he did it, and now he's like Iron Man and he's solving the world's problems. 2 is, well, if he's Iron Man, how is the world responding to that?
Yeah.
And then you get to see the arc of like, the different variants, and we have the hilarious Justin Hammer, perfect character for that movie, perfect villain. And then you have his instrument, which is the cross between Crimson Dynamo and Whiplash. But yeah, I think that's how Captain America's story should have played. And I think that one of the coolest things they should have done was they should have said, okay, we now live in a world of superheroes, right? Captain America is the best one. Okay, we're starting to notice the world is getting into some weird stuff. So we're seeing people that can level a city. Perfect. I think this movie, if it wanted to take a big swing and a big risk, should have talked about mutants as a security risk from the get-go. from the leaping point.
Mm.
We made superheroes. We have these metahumans, but now I'm hearing people are born with powers. They're a threat. Guess what? We found a source called adamantium. We're looking into solutions. Wolverine. Like, you know what I mean? Like you really, and Wolverine is Weapon X. And if you read the comics, Weapon X is the 10th attempt to build Captain America.
Yeah.
And they look to mutants and like this weapon program to build Captain America and then get Wolverine. So that's why there's a huge miss here, because there's so many elements that are fighting to get attention in this story. And it's so hard. Even me, I just ranted through all these different stories that they're trying to do. And in the end, now you can see why I'm like, kind of, there's a hit and miss here. And then on top of that, like you have the Black Widow program. You have a character who's like one of them from the Black Widow program. And she's literally a kind of a great character to have. And she does some kick-ass things. But in the end, she's nothing more than just an existing character. And it's like, I love the overlap, and I love that we're seeing a populated world where you're introducing characters.
Mm-hmm.
But if your main story is not really driving properly, then you're literally throwing everything at a wall and trying to see what sticks.
Yep. I think I'm right there with you, buddy. On paper, this movie
should have been amazing.
It should have been
the best movie ever.
What it was promising was getting me so excited, because it was telling me, hey, Andrew, we are going to make Captain America 4, which already I'm like, yay, sold. I love the Anthony Mackie version of Captain America, like from that last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm like, I'm in. I love his costume. I love that Captain America's got wings now. Sold. Let's do this. So the fact that he's getting his own movie, I'm in. And then if they had said, well, also, Andrew, you're getting kind of a sequel to Incredible Hulk, because so much of that is going to overlap and play into here, I'm in. We're going to talk about adamantium and bring Eternals back into the mix. I'm so in. We're bringing in Sabra. We're bringing in characters from Copperhead. Is that who that was? No,
Sidewinder.
Sidewinder. Thank you. Sidewinder from the Serpent Society. So all these characters you heard of, we're going to throw them in, populate the world. I'm in. But from what we know about production, which, we weren't there, obviously. Might as well. I was there on the set of Age of Ultron. That's why I was too busy putting on a green hoodie. But from what we heard about the production of this movie, it was a cluster F. This thing got absolutely annihilated and beaten up and broken down and ripped apart and stitched together. And there were like 5 different movies that this almost was. And most of those movies saw, they were put in front of a film. They saw principal photography happening, and then things got ripped apart and torn to shreds and started over. And what we have is such a patchwork movie, and you really see the seams in 2 places. You see it in the story and in the directing. In the story, like you mentioned, it's just what we ended up getting there was a very small, weak, not overly clear story. To me, the best parts of it was the emotional stuff of Ross, and how, Captain America chooses not to fight Red Hulk and chooses to speak to Ross. And that's beautiful. That's the best part of this film, hands down. But the story itself, I couldn't tell you exactly what we were supposed to be following. And with all of those beautiful ingredients that they promised, it feels like those should have been M&Ms on top of an ice cream sundae. That, like, Red Hulk and Leader and Sidewinder and Sabra and all that, and Falcon, the new Falcon, that all should have been M&Ms on an ice cream sundae that we could have enjoyed. But instead, it's kind of like they just took a bag of M&Ms and dropped it in our lap, and they're like, here. And we're like, okay. Yeah. And we kind of had to enjoy it in a mess, in a whirlwind of mess that just didn't feel organized. And in terms of the directing too, I've heard other people say this, I'm not, treading new ground here, but Julius Ona, that is the name of the director here, and it really feels just like there's no flavor, there's no pizzazz, there's no weight or gravitas given to the way the film was directed. It feels like a TV show with a budget, and especially I remember when we were sitting in the theater and it ended, and the final shot of this, of Captain America 4, the final shot of this movie is just a medium 2 shot of 2 guys in a hospital room just going cut to black, and I'm like, that was the last shot of Captain America 4.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how much directing Julius Ona has done before this, but it just felt so muted. It felt like a Netflix movie at times, the way it was directed, and I hate to say that, but that kind of, it gave it a lot less weight. And what I loved so much about the Marvel movies, all of them, even whatever ones you don't like, even those ones have weight. They feel like a Marvel movie. Even Iron Man 3 still feels like a Marvel movie, but this doesn't. And I think it was the first time ever that a Marvel movie didn't feel like a Marvel capital M movie. And that's noticeable. It sounds like a subtle thing, and it is, but it's noticeable when your final shot is just that's noticeable. And I couldn't help but be underwhelmed seeing that the big screen decided to end its extravagant tale with this very weak, very muted kind of thing. And it wasn't even a very powerful scene. It was just like, you're going to be okay, buddy. Thanks, man. So there's, I don't know. I need to see it again. Obviously, it's been a year since I've watched it, but there's not a lot of power in Captain America 4. There's not a lot of, you are watching the next Marvel movie, and it's doubly, it hurts twice over, because when all those beautiful things you mentioned, Ryan, about how we're getting finally some closure on the leader, and we're finally seeing adamantium, and we're bringing Ross into the presidential world, and this movie is doing so much to move the story of the MCU forward, and it's connecting so many things, and you want that, because story-wise it feels like, yes, it is the next important chapter of the book we've been reading. It's not some witches you've never heard of doing some things that's only going to matter to them, which ended up being a better told story at the end of the day. So it's crazy. You kind of wish the shoes were on the other foot, or that competent shoes were on both feet. But I don't know. That's where I'm standing with Captain America: Brave New World, and I would like to watch it again, and maybe second time's the charm, and I'll like it more. But yeah, it's definitely. It was the first time ever in a Marvel movie in the theater that it cut to credits and I went, "Oh, that's it." Yeah, that's where my heart is.
And no, and rightfully so. And it sounds like we're both kind of really on the same page about this movie. Is like, like another big thing is we finally got the leader, which is like they teased it in Incredible Hulk, and then fast forward 10 years. And then we finally get the leader, which is, again, like in the Marvel Rogues Gallery. Okay, we all know Spider-Man probably holds the most iconic, but in the outside world of that, you have your Magneto, you have your Doctor Doom, but the leader is pretty up there.
He's big.
He's a big guy.
He's not called the follower. Vice president.
Yeah, I mean, you even have Zemo. You have the heavy hitters now all in the playing field. And one thing that I find is interesting about the leader was that they actually did give him some really fun lines, and he had a great presence and a great voice. But overall, his battle was very tame. Like, it was like, oh, force field on Falcon, can't get past that. Ooh, no. But where was the more constructive debate? The leader outthinks everybody, everybody. And not only that, he for most of the things when it comes to debating topics, he's right. He's always right about something. And I wish there was a more of a, like, maybe what I would have loved, as opposed to this, like, what looks like the, I guess the sound wave thing that they use on the Hulk. I would have loved if it was like an escape room kind of situation where they get into this factory and it turns out to be the leader's lab, and he entraps them, and it becomes a moral debate of, you know, what you're doing is you're being just like an average jock, you know, Sam Wilson. You're not getting what Captain America is. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't he challenge his identity more? And then, you know, allude to the idea of like, oh yes, you know, this America you believe in, you know, now Ross is running it. Do you even know what Ross is doing? And then like alluding to the idea that like, oh, he's still working on a super soldier program because you're not Captain America. And that already would have been a hard-hitting story, because it goes back to the moral values of what made Steve Rogers Captain America. And then Sam Wilson realizing that what he needs to be a better Captain America. And the other idea I love is, again, a sleeping idea that they even brought in this story. I hadn't even mentioned there's a 7th story in this, which is Isaiah Bradley.
That's right.
And they could have done, again, this movie. I think this movie easily could have been a whole Captain America trilogy, like, as opposed to trying to fit it in one film.
And not a long film either. This is like an hour 40 something.
Yeah, it's super short. And Isaiah Bradley, I think what they could have really done, which would have been really cool, is like maybe have some story arcs about him when he was in the Nam War, being like this like super soldier. And you see him trying to be Captain America, or like, you know, be like this ultimate hero, the war hero that is like a Captain America persona. And, you know, like, just a fun idea, just as an example, is like maybe he picks up a sheet of metal that has like painted a Captain America on it, because that was like, I don't know, just a symbol to help them stay motivated. And he uses it to block, and then everyone starts being like, oh wow, he's like Captain America. Like, you know what I mean? Like just a setup like that. But what I love about it is like in Falcon and Winter Soldier, he hates it. He hates it because of what it did to him. Like, they put him in prison, they tested on him a bunch of times, all that stuff. And like, they could have put more flashbacks of that story in Brave New World. And again, like, maybe he coaches, maybe his story was like, they only did it like once or twice, and it was more playful than any sort of like moral fiber, like giving you more story. But he should have been more of a coach to Sam and teaching him like that moral component more of like, you know, yes, you can be tough, you can be the best of the best. That's not it. You need to bring you to it, right? Like, he learns that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but they could have taken that further in Brave New World and have more of that, as opposed to, I'm an old dude, but I'm like essentially this, like, I can't remember what they called him, but the historic cap, or like the missing cap or something like that. But you know, like, it was just like, oh, but he's an old man who still got it. Like, that was kind of like the whole feeling of his character. And it's a shame, because there were some cool things they really did. Like the mind control thing was a cool element, but that's just it. It was just an ingredient. It didn't have any real substance or mixture to the whole thing, because in the end it played to the leader. But once we got to the leader, it was like, oh, haha, nice try. You didn't catch me this time. And that was it. And it's a shame, because like the leader, like, there's, again, I always say it, if the cartoon does it better, if you watch Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, all the leader scenes are amazing. All of them. He's such a fun character in that show. And it's just a big missed opportunity.
And it was also, it was surprisingly, like, I would never have thought this would have worked, but when I found out he was the villain and that Red Hulk was going to be in it, so you have 2 Hulk villains in a Captain America movie, I was like, this works, this fits. I'm okay that it's not a Captain America villain.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if that would always normally be the case. Like, if we found out Spider-Man 4, the villain is, I don't know, Grey Gargoyle, I wouldn't be like all that thrilled about it, because there's so much more of his world that we haven't seen yet. But with Captain America, I'm like, yeah, right on, put the leader. That's a great idea. And he didn't end up like, granted, he had a lot of years of buildup that we maybe conflated in our heads to the point where it couldn't have lived up to it. But leader didn't end up making the hugest impression. I did not love his look. Apparently there was a much more comic accurate look that was part of the scrapped earlier drafts, which I don't know why somebody put up their hand and said, let's make it not look accurate. But somebody did, and here we are. So yeah, I don't know. It's a real strange movie, Ryan. It's a real strange movie. Yeah. And Betty Ross's cameo didn't even really hit the way I think it should. Like, they saved that for a post-credit scene, and you think it would be this big emotional thing, but I can't even remember what happens in that scene.
Well, no, she wasn't just even a post-credit scene. She was like the turning point tool to bring him down from being the Hulk, essentially. Wasn't that the thing, if I'm not mistaken?
No, I didn't. They, well, he might have mentioned Betty, but like when she shows up, it's only at the end when he's in the prison, right?
Oh, no, I think she stops the Hulk fight. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure she stops the Hulk fight.
The fact that neither of us can remember it says a lot about the movie. It says a lot about us too, but it says a lot.
Yeah, no, you can verify that, but I'll talk about while you verify something.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Betty Ross thing. So the other big problem that Marvel seems to do is, I think they have a problem with focusing on their audience. It's funny because like some Marvel movies, like clearly they're like, oh, we're going to try to bring in new people. Like that's the objective. Like Miss Marvel is a perfect example. I want to bring in a younger audience. I want to get them hooked on this character so we can build up to something big. And Captain America 4, the problem with this one was they did this. They've done this before. Why did you put the Red Hulk in the trailer? We know it's coming. We knew it. We knew it was coming. Don't put it in the trailer. Don't. If you're gonna put Red Hulk's a big character, and we know you have a new Ross. Unfortunately, William Hurt didn't get to live long enough to have that part, and I think it would have slapped a lot harder if William Hurt was still the character, because it would have really carried the torch from Civil War all the way to here. And it's not Harrison Ford's fault. He did a great performance, but it's a shame. It should have been Hurt. It should have been Hurt. He was a great Ross. I loved every scene that he was in. But I think that, again, why would you put him in the trailer? Why? Because, like, again, if we saw it in the movie, I think it would have been more of a wow, like they did it. And then throwing in Ross in there as well would have been like, oh yes, like that would have been like a nice 1-2 punch, and we would have been like, wow, there you go, Incredible Hulk is done, we've finished the film, like we've completed the film. But instead you put it in the trailer, so we're like, oh well, this is coming, so you're just counting the minutes until you're getting the Red Hulk. And when it was building up to the big crescendo, like he's always going to become the Red Hulk, leaders on the phone with them and triggering them and all this stuff. And in the end, it's like it's coming. So when it happens, you're like, oh, finally he's Red Hulk. Not like, wow, finally he's Red Hulk. Oh my God. Yeah. It's a shame.
And didn't it get spoiled by like a Happy Meal toy too?
Like the first thing or like a Funko Pop or something. Like that. Yeah.
Leave it to Funko. So looking up the Betty thing here, you are more correct than I am, but we're both still wrong here. So he turns into Red Hulk, and then it says here, Wilson injures Ross enough that he can be reasoned with, and he reminds Ross of the visits to the Washington cherry blossom trees with his estranged daughter, Betty. So he reminds him about going there with Betty, and that makes Ross go back to normal. And then after the incident, Wilson invites Torres to the Avengers, right? And then Ross has himself incarcerated in the raft where Wilson and Betty visit him.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the post-credit scene, it was the leader saying, somebody's going to attack us from another world. I'm assuming to build up Hulk to build up Doom.
Yeah.
So Betty just kind of showed up at the end. She cried. She said, "Hi, Daddy." They had their moment, and it was. It should have been a more memorable thing, I think, to see Betty. Yeah, all in all, that's what this movie feels like. It feels like something that should have just been more. It should have had more meat on its bones. I love the idea of what you said of like taking all these things and building a trilogy out of them, because there's a lot there, and to not only squeeze it into one movie, but to squeeze it in one of their shorter movies. Big disservice. So in terms of Infinity Stones, I feel like where I am right now, having just seen it the one time and just remembering what I remember, I'm going to put it in the camp of 3 stones. I'm giving it 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a big telling point for me, and this is big for me, this is the first MCU film, Ryan, where when it came out on Blu-ray, I was like, I don't feel like buying this. And that was a big deal. I remember thinking to myself, like, that's a big deal.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Like, I bought like Thor the Dark World with zero hesitation. I was like, I don't care, man. It's Thor 2. There's dark elves. I had fun. I know it's
that end credit scene alone is where.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, it's the first one where like not only did I like hesitate, but I stopped them. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna buy this movie. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's hard. It's really hard for me, and because I love the world of Cap so much, I have to give it 4 stones. Just because of my love for Cap is just pushing it over to 4. But the other reason I give it 4 is because of its potential. Because like sometimes there are those movies out there where you like, especially like in the world of nerdom, there are those movies out there where you see it past what they're trying to tell you and you see where it could have gone. And there's this enchantment to it that's pulling me to give it 4, because like, again, they did give me a leader that I liked. I liked the leader. The script was so against him. Like he only had 2 shining moments. A Sidewinder, great character, great action sequences. And I love like he was the physicality of the villainy of that movie. Because I mean, Ross technically is not a villain; he's an anti-hero that's misguided, plus given the Hulk powers, right? But like, I feel Leader was the brains and Sidewinders was the bronze, like the tactical, in and out kind of thing, which was really cool. Yeah, and then again, there's a lot to explore in this movie. Like if it was an open world video game, there's a lot to like avenues to go down to check out and go see. The problem is because it's a movie, you're very narrow focused. I like I would have loved to seen, even if it was like less than 2 minutes, of Ross meeting Dr. Cornelius, and they'd be like, "Oh, I have a great program that I'm setting up in Canada with Department H, and we could use that adamantium because I'm working with the Japanese dude who's going to help me set this up." Story right there. Right. But my point, there's just so many cool things you could have done. And especially coming off the heels of Falcon and Winter Soldier for this big crescendo of like a new Captain America film. It was just lackluster. And it's a real shame. It's a real shame.
It is. I'm looking forward to, in the future, I know I'm going to appreciate the movie more. I have what I call the RoboCop 3 effect, where there are movies, usually sequels, where I'm like, this is undoubtedly, objectively the worst one, but given enough time, I can look back on it and it has a sense of nostalgic charm, and I can be like, but damn, RoboCop 3 is so much fun. and he's fighting the Yakuza, and it's got its own identity and its own charm. And I'm looking forward to this having that RoboCop 3 effect. And one day it will. I'm confident that once we're on the other side of Secret Wars, we're gonna look back at this and we're gonna laugh, Ryan. We're gonna be like, remember when we gave it a low ranking? It's a fun movie. We're gonna eat these words.
It's funny you say it that way, because I wholeheartedly believe a sequel could easily save that film. A sequel to Captain America, Brave New World, easily could save that film.
Just like how so many people are talking about letting Chris Hemsworth have a Thor 5 to redeem Thor 4. That could absolutely happen, especially if a lot of the stuff here carries over into part 5. 100%. Very fun quick fact before we move on to our last topic. One of the classes I'm taking right now at York is a Hollywood class, and every week we have to watch a movie. And it just so happens, again, great timing, just so happens that yesterday, because every Monday she posts a new movie, yesterday I had to watch a movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, called The Hate You Give, in which Anthony Mackie plays the villain, and he's very scary and mean, and it's an amazing movie. It's like 5-star, 10 out of 10. Such a good movie, The Hate You Give. The main character is the girl from the Acolyte, the Star Wars Acolyte, who played the two twins.
Oh, yes.
And she's like, give her an Academy Award. Like, she did a really good job in that movie. But yeah, I just was looking at Anthony Mackie last night, except he was a mean drug dealer, and I was afraid of him. He wasn't Captain America at all. So, last but not least, last March, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, which was very fitting, Disney Plus stepped up its game and gave us Dara DeVille, Born a Gaian.
Oh my God. I cannot be like Daredevil. Honestly, Daredevil has yet to do any wrong on it. Like you even if you say like, oh yeah, well, Daredevil was in the Defenders. Yes, and all the scenes were amazing. Like all the scenes were so good. But like Daredevil season 1 and season 2 on Netflix were just untouchable. They found a new way to tell a Marvel story that fits the character and yet do such cool action, give it such a comic book feel, here's how I think I should say it. There's never, I don't think, outside of Daredevil, there's never been a closer like comic book feel, yet like Oscar award-winning storytelling. Like it's just that good. You know what I mean? It's like they do like to a point where like it's even me as a fan of like the comics, and I love street level heroes, and like for example Isabella watching it with me, like we both equally enjoy it for two very different reasons, because the storytelling is that good. And then Born Again, Feige announces it. Guess who's coming back? You got our boy Charlie Cox coming back as the great Matt Murdock, and you got your boy Big Willie, and let's bring in D'Onofrio.
It made me happy. I'm going to quickly go top off my water while you tell people how you felt when you heard they were bringing Daredevil back and it was the same people, like it was just continuing on.
Yeah, no. So like they bring in the announcement here of that. They bring in the announcement here that like, yeah, we got D'Onofrio back, we got Charlie Cox back, and we're really continuing the aftermath of the Netflix series. Okay, we're coming off of The Punisher, which we're gonna have the Punisher in this story. So they talk about the Punisher, and so having this point of like we're literally going from the aftermath of Daredevil into the Disney, like the MCU, and just literally just like tying him in so effortlessly, and yet still having the quality storytelling that Daredevil gives. I could not have been more excited for this show. I was the trailer sold it, and they did the beautiful thing where they told two trailer stories. They told Daredevil story, they told Kingpin story. Like I love that. Like when the season 2 came out and they did Daredevil, they did Punisher, and they did an Elektra trailer. all yes, like give us different perspectives. They're all, oh my god. And like the best part is too, they were like, this is my city kind of trailer. Oh, it was so good. I could just gush all day about Born Again. But let's talk about, first of all, do you have anything to say before I like get into the show? Like, do you have thoughts and feelings about the announcement? Because I know you're a big Willie fan.
Oh, I'm the big Willie fan. The old show, the Netflix show, was an MCU show in name only, and we all kind of understood that going into it. Like all of those shows were MCU-ish, and they often went out of their way to be different. They often, made it a choice to say the green guy from New York instead of allowing themselves to live in a continuous, interconnected world. And that was their own vibe, and I get it. And you love it or you hate it, whatever. And those 3 seasons of Daredevil, those were a lot of fun. I would put season 3 as my favorite. I love that whole sort of evil trinity, or not evil, but that whole trinity of characters that was Kingpin, Daredevil, and Bullseye, and how the 3 of them kind of kept revolving around one another. But obviously the show was special to me because I finally got to see Kingpin the way I wanted to see him, especially in season 3 when he finally put that white suit on. So it was obviously special. And even though it wasn't connecting to the MCU the way I would have wanted it to, it was so well done that I didn't care. So to find out that they were bringing that into the mix here, that was a big deal, because I'm like, again, this is just how my brain is working. I'm thinking, okay, we're that much closer to seeing Vincent D'Onofrio on the same screen as Spider-Man. And when that happens, I can finally die happy. But like, to know that was being integrated in a much more cohesive way, like which we've known now since Hawkeye, when he finally showed up. Ooh, that made me happy. It made me so happy knowing that the same world that has Iron Man in it has Kingpin in it. And I'm just like, yeah, finally. It was such a win to get him in there for me. Honestly, for Daredevil, I could take it or leave it. I'm like, he's cool. I know he's got his fans. Great. If he's here, awesome. But to have Kingpin in there, that was big. And to have him stay true to what he was on the Netflix series, where he was a beautifully written and beautifully acted character. I love that they didn't try to Disneyfy him at all. They didn't tone him down. They didn't make him any less complex. They didn't make him any less scary. They didn't try to make him goofy, like, oh, it's just a big fat guy in a suit. Like they didn't try to go that route. They knew what they had. And I think that's so important. So that was my feeling going into Born Again, was that the integrity of these characters, of him and Daredevil and everybody, was being maintained.
Preserved,
and they managed the miraculous feat of taking 3 seasons that felt nothing like the MCU at all, and plucking that and putting it into the MCU, and somehow it doesn't feel too out of place. I can safely say by the end of Born Again, if, the Nick Fury or Spider-Man or whatever would have walked in onto the screen, it wouldn't have felt like, oh, that doesn't fit. And that's kind of a miracle that they were able to pull that off.
Honestly, like without missing a beat. And it's funny because the Netflix series did play off of the MCU, but it was a afterthought. Like it was like, because they always referred to the Battle of New York, and they're like, oh yeah, it happened, and we're here feeling the results of it. You know what I mean? Where it's not like, it's not part of the dance, it's watching the dance, and it's saying how it feels, right? But yes, to connect it so effortlessly and literally just, like you said, like just literally pluck it and then put it in, and it just blended so naturally. Oh my God. And now let's get into it, because like first of all, like that was a big concern, is like, how do you take the show and how are they going to, because we all, Defenders wasn't perfect. And some of the stories, Iron Fist story could have been a lot better. There's some great moments in the Iron Fist story that I really loved. Luke Cage is pretty good. Could have been a little bit better itself. Jessica Jones, almost as good as Daredevil, pretty close. And like, how do you take all that and merge it into the MCU? Because it can't be done gracefully, because there was a lot of questions. Like, the Hand has a giant hole in New York. How do you explain that? Yeah. So
how do you explain Bakudo?
Yeah.
You need him.
How do you explain Bakudo?
He's the key to everything. Secret Wars is going to revolve around Bakudo.
Oh God. So yeah, how do you do that? And I think Daredevil's perfect. Like they didn't miss a beat. And honestly, first of all, we've seen Matt Murdock now in She-Hulk. He was in Spider-Man, which was like that was like what we live for. Like, oh my God, that's what I'm talking about. When it comes to scenes, he literally played a key part of the narrative, even though it was literally like less than 3 minutes long. And yet he got to be Matt Murdock. He got to be the lawyer in a Spider-Man story and do like a really cool catch the brick thing and peace out. And that was it. And that's all we needed. And this show literally picks up where the Netflix series left off and just continues in an MCU world now as a participant. And like the opening scene when Bullseye comes in and just wrecks the place. And he's got the not comic accurate, but he has a comic book like costume, and they're doing this crazy fight scene. And we all know when you're getting a fight scene in Daredevil, it's going to be fun. It's going to be flashy. It's going to be style. It's going to be full of style. I'm a big fan of it. It feels like I'm watching like a kung fu flick, because it's a lot of master shots. And for those non-film noobs out there, a master shot means it has everything in the scene. And, usually the actors are full body. Jackie Chan films are notorious for master shots and fight scenes. You never miss a beat, and there's no jump cuts. I hate jump cuts in a fight scene, because you see set up for punch, jump cut after punch is thrown. And it's really annoying to see. But Daredevil, you're seeing the whole movements. Now, Daredevil, so you get the Bullseye thing, kills Foggy right out of the gate. Controversial move, in my opinion. Did he need to die? Probably not. But did it do as the creators probably intended, which is like make you go, holy crap, they're doing this, and pulling you, literally like forcing you in on a show you're already invested in. So that's wild. And then here we go. Like, we're in the story. And the best part is there's a beautiful back and forth between Matt being a lawyer and Matt being Daredevil.
Yeah.
I get kind of tired of seeing a character with such duality be one thing only. Like, if you look at Netflix's original Daredevil, it is literally him being Daredevil and then having small lawyer moments. In season 2, he is Daredevil, but he has to be a lawyer in key pivotal moments. But this one, it does feel back and forth. He feels that the lawyer thing is necessary. So there's a better balance to it, which I thought was really neat. So we get that. We get that kind of fun back and forth. And then, Kingpin becoming mayor is like, that beat was amazing. And what shocked me the most, and I wasn't sure if they were going to do it because of, some of the world we're living in today, but the anti-vigilante task force story. I love some of the Punisher's comics, and let me tell you, I think it's called The Circle of Blood. It's a comic book my brother got me. It introduces the concept of people becoming a version of the Punisher, like people literally becoming a variant of Punisher because they believe in what he stands for and all this stuff. And it just becomes literally a circle of blood because like everyone's just killing people because they think that they're guilty. And I didn't think they were going to do it, but they did. And they took that risk, and it was beautiful. I could not applaud more the Punisher's angle in this story and how they're challenging the character, because he's a pretty easy, like, he's an easy character to do, but he's a hard character to land because he is very simplistic, and it's a very simple revenge kind of character. Kill his family, and now he's a vigilante that runs around, getting people who are guilty so that no one else loses their family. Pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
What I loved was they challenged him. They challenged justice, and that to me was so good. And yes, I love the trial of the white tiger. White tiger, yeah, white tiger. I think that was brilliant. They even alluded to the next white tiger. She's already a character in it. She's going to become the white tiger. If you watch Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, she's a character in it.
That's her.
And yes, they're already introducing new characters. So many layers of this show. There's so many, and the production was phenomenal. There's a lot to unpack here, but like, couldn't miss a beat. Kingpin every moment. I also loved how we saw lots of different angles of Kingpin. One of the funniest, I actually like bust my gut laughing when he had to sit through two schools saying we built this city by the kiss, by Starship. And they're like, we built this city on rock. And like, he's just sitting there like I loved every second of that, because I was like, yes, this is it's a fun break of like the harsh like pattern of the show.
Mhm.
But it's a perfect break because it's such a character building moment of just him having to grit through the BS that is like him being a mayor. And it's like, yes, let's have a little fun with this, like this perfect villain. And that's the other thing is like, again, in the plethora of the rogue gallery, like Kingpin is one of the biggest ones, both physically and literally. And yeah, just honestly, every episode was just a work of art. That's all I can say. Like Vanessa becoming a criminal because of the blip thing, perfect. Matt Murdock establishing the office, building his own company, perfect. Even the little cameo with Miss Marvel's dad. I know Charlie Cox didn't love it when they did it, but at the same time, I think it was great. It was a fun way to just add in a character in a great overarching narrative. Yes, he didn't really add anything to it, but it was fun to see him being a part of it and being like, hey, I have a daughter who's the hero, Miss Marvel. Oh, you haven't heard of her? Perfect. I don't even care. I don't even care if it didn't serve anything. This story is perfect as it is. It was just amazing. I need to stop before I just keep rambling.
No, that her dad, that's another great way of, they don't sacrifice any of the show's integrity, but now he's part of the MCU in a way that he wasn't before. And even having White Tiger be his client is such a beautiful way of taking the Law stuff, which I'm going to admit in the Netflix show I found kind of dry, and making it interesting because it feels like it fits in the world of Marvel. It doesn't, like, whether he's Daredevil or whether he's Matt Murdock, attorney at law, he's dealing with the world of Marvel by having White Tiger there and his niece, I think, like that clinched it, like that made it feel so cohesive. And it also had something that the MCU is known for that the Netflix shows aren't particularly, and that's color. The color palette was more vibrant in this one. Not enough to like take away from what Daredevil is, because Daredevil is not Guardians of the Galaxy. It shouldn't look like Skittles, but it's still a little brighter. Things look crisper. They don't look muddy and dark like all the Netflix shows did. Just a simple little thing that just makes me so happy is those bank robbers with their different colored masks. I thought that was so much fun. And that feels like something that comes from the MCU and not from the Netflix world. So all these little pieces, they click together almost like this was the plan all along. I don't know how they pulled that off, but they made Daredevil Born Again feel like Daredevil, same as always, just with more flavor, with more M&Ms on top of the sundae. And I really dig it for that. And Kingpin in particular, to talk about Kingpin, getting him as the mayor lets us do something with him that was, for me, a big part of the character growing up in the cartoons, which is the idea of he's going to kill a man with his bare hands because that man challenged his crime, whatever. He's going to take Silvermane and he's going to break Silvermane's neck. And then he's going to wipe the blood off his hands and he's going to step into another room and he's going to dedicate like a hospital. And people are going to love him and he'll be like the new Fisk wing of the hospital. And like he's going to do something entrepreneurial and philanthropy related. And like that's the double life that he leads. He's a big public figure. And so I love getting to see him do that, even if he does have to sit through grade school Starship routines, all the better. Give me more. Give me him having to watch like a President's Day play where they're like, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And he's got to sit there like, Vanessa, how much longer? Give me all of that. I love it. And the more he gets out there and does for New York, the more of the Marvel world we can have him interact with. Just saying, Spider-Man 4. Just saying.
Just saying. I mean, Thunderbolts took place in New York, and I'm surprised we didn't get any overlap there. It would have been nice. I think they're saving that though. It's funny. Someone asked Vincent D'Onofrio straight up. They're like, when will we see you in a Spider-Man film? And apparently he has got the best publicist or the best safe answer that maybe he even came up with. Or he knows how to play or that it is literally true, and maybe this is the reason why we haven't seen him yet. But his answer was apparently there's some kerfuffle with his like character's legality issues, so they can use the character, but if they put him in a movie, apparently they can't do that. So I don't know why, but I think it's a clever ploy to throw off people, because like you can't get around it if it's like, oh, well, yeah, it makes sense because Kingpin's a Spider-Man rogue gallery. Technically, he's tied in with Sony. All this stuff. In my opinion, it's a great cover answer to distract. Whether or not it's true, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I think it's a great way. If he's saving up for a big surprise, I respect him all the more for that answer.
Totally. Surprise us with it. And I had heard that as well. And then I had heard maybe within the last 2 months, like very recently, that a lot of the Sony legal stuff with Marvel has changed in Marvel's favor. Like ever since Sony has been like, this Madam Web universe didn't end up being what we wanted it to be. So that if that was true, it might not be anymore.
I mean, again, we could sit here all day trying to navigate that whole thing. I mean, Sony's made some weird decisions, in my opinion, but in the end, my point is that if they're saving them for a big one, brand new day, don't put them in the trailer, roll them in the movie, and let us have that surprise. Because again, it's just the world's too close. If Daredevil the next season doesn't even talk about Thunderbolts, then I'm like, how are we doing this? Because Thunderbolts, there was essentially a giant blackout where people like faded into the void with Sentry, which, to be honest, he's not a great character in my opinion. He was well executed, super fun, but not a great character in my opinion. He's just in my mind, he's very boring. But anyways, and going back to Daredevil here, like again, they literally put him right in it. It was fun. There was a lot of risk here. Loss of Augie Nelson, Matt getting shot, protecting Kingpin, which was really cool. Bullseye getting out of prison was fun. But talking about Punisher for a second again, I love that they brought him back. And they had a fight scene right out of the gate. It was really cool to have him take on the anti-vigilante task force or whatever. And they capture him. I'm like, oh my God, they capture the Punisher. This is like, in acting, they always say, raise the stakes, raise the stakes. In Daredevil, every scene is like the stakes could not get any higher. Like it's, and you think that would be exhausting. You think that would be like, no, they can't. The stakes could always be higher. No, they can't. This, like, you cannot take the show any further than it can go. Like, there's so many moments. Honestly, this whole little portion of Daredevil is just us gushing about how amazing this series was. And like the other thing too is like one of my favorite scenes is not even like an exciting one, was literally Matt and Kingpin sitting in the diner and talking about how they missed each other because they realized that they're both needed in a way to help the city, which I thought was amazing. And even Urich's daughter doing or I can't remember, niece or something, but doing the camera and getting people's opinions. Like, it felt like a very Spider-Man, but like street level comic book hero vibe of a comic book story. And still giving you this like Oscar award winnings. There's so much to say. But like Vanessa taking over too, I love that. And I think they're doing the right thing with this. Like, this story is really about, what a city can mean to you and what you can do to protect it, or vice versa, like not, or corrupt it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this beautiful scales of justice, right? And you have Daredevil on one side and Fisk on the other, and New York's in the middle, and it's just the balance. And I love that we're throwing in characters like White Tiger and that Punisher, and now we're getting Jessica Jones back. Like, yes, like this is a world. It's functioning. It's amazing. If it were a comic book issue, I'd be back in it, buying every single issue every month. It's just that good.
And once again, in a case of cosmically great timing, which has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Today, they released the first trailer for
the teaser
for Born Again Season 2, giving us our first look at Jessica Jones. And my girl, Kristen Ritter, she still looks amazing. Not a day has gone by. She's the same old Jessica Jones. How likely do you think it is, Ryan? I mean, the trailer looks great. Like, what do you have any thoughts on it? Like, about what it showed us? Did it show you anything that you were shocked to see? Or I don't know. I found it pretty straightforward personally, like good, but just like nothing shocking, like just good old, we're getting back to Daredevil goodness kind of thing.
So my understanding and the way they did it, and some set photos that I know are true, which is funny now, is, since we've done this, last we've done this Infinity Rewatch, I have never gotten to a point where the set photos are so convincing and yet you find out they're AI. This is a whole new problem that we're dealing with.
Oh yeah.
But this set photo is real. It was confirmed. It was like almost like it was provided by Marvel kind of thing. But we are getting Shadowland, which is an interesting Daredevil story. I don't know if they're going to do it to the full extent, but essentially Matt can't handle the city anymore. Like, he can't protect it as well as he thinks he can. So he takes over the Hand, and he gets the Hand to be his instrument of justice. And they kill people. They get literally out of hand. And Matt's like, no, I got it under control. And literally, like, the Marvel friends are like, yo, like, dude, you are not in a good place right now. Kingpin's got you running all sorts of things. And so Kingpin decides, he's like, you know what? I'm in a good spot right now because everyone's just like in panic, and like, I need to keep these superheroes in control. So I decide, well, I'll just go looking to some supernatural solutions to this problem. And he finds a scroll to summon the Ghost Rider.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. and he summons Ghost Rider to take out the Hand and Daredevil.
Nothing else, we get to hear Vincent D'Onofrio say magic words off a scroll. And bippity boppity boopity, Vanessa, come read this.
Honestly, it's a wild but yet really awesome story. Next time we do the show, next month, I'll show you a few pages of it. It's really cool. But yes, a very good comic, very well written. Yeah, and just a lot of really cool characters. And here's the other thing. So I will still argue that this show is flawless. There is literally nothing you could do wrong with this show. Like you did wrong with the show. You did everything right. I'm sure the creative table would have been a fun conversation because it was just nothing but good ideas. Clearly, that just went into this thing. However, that being said, I would have loved if they've somehow tied up Echo just a little bit. Echo, bless Echo's heart, it was a solid attempt at some unique storytelling. I give it that. Great cultural deep dive. Totally love it. I love being exposed to culture using superhero narratives. I'm all for it. The fight scene with Echo and Daredevil is something I watch a lot because it is so good and it's so well structured as a comic book fighting sequence. Like, first of all, she like kicks a lot of ass, and she's that actor, she is an incredible fighter. And Daredevil dives in, he uses his billy club, it's a whole thing. And the ending with Kingpin is a bit awkward. It doesn't land well, and I think it's one of those things where they were trying to. Some creators were clearly like, we need to protect Kingpin's integrity here, pull him out. But I would have loved Echo in some way, shape, or form to be a part of it. Like Hawkeye ending with Echo was really cool, and seeing Kingpin in Hawkeye was really cool.
Yeah.
Echo with Daredevil and Kingpin was only 2 episodes, one in the beginning and literally the end. It was good, but like again, you could do more and so much more. Like Echo in the comics is a force of nature and is like the fight scenes that her and Matt have are wild, using senses in different ways and the whole 9 yards.
I think you're still going to get your wish. I think you're going to get your wish with Echo, because if you remember, the plan for Born Again was that it was going to be just 2 seasons, and each season was very long. Each season was like 18 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
And then what they ended up doing was they cut both seasons in half.
Yeah.
So what we've seen, according to the original game plan, was just half of season 1, if you look at how they originally laid it out. So I think there's a very real possibility that in season 2, what we're about to know as season 2, there'll be something carrying over from the Echo storyline, because you're right, it is a big elephant in the room to have Kingpin come back from that and not ever call attention to it again. And I could be wrong, but I don't think Echo made any claims where she was like, I am never going to New York again. Like, I don't think there was anything like that at the end of that series. I don't think she was I'm happy here.
Yeah.
Like there was some unfinished business a little bit. So don't be surprised. I think you'll get your wish.
Echo ended with Kingpin on a private jet, and they're like, "Oh, mayor's up for election or something like that."
Yeah, but in terms of Echo herself, the character, I don't think there was any mention of her saying like, "I'm done with New York. I'm done with everything. I'm just going to live happily here with my homies."
Yeah, but honestly, the sandbox that Daredevil has built, I mean, you could go any direction, and the story is solidified. Like the core story that makes Daredevil. It is so rock solid at this point. Yes, you can start. It is literally what Captain America is missing in terms of what makes a good story, is like literally the core story of Daredevil and where Daredevil is going, like the hero's journey, if you will. That's done. And at this point, literally everything else is like you said, the M&Ms on the whole thing. In fact, it's beautiful too, because it's kind of like a full circle moment for a podcast. But it's one of those things where literally like you could do the Shadowland story, take out the Ghost Rider part, but again, with this core journey that Daredevil's going on, you can bring back the heroes. You can bring back Luke Cage and Iron Fist, do heroes for hire, and he can use them as the heroes for hire because in Born Again, he was spread thin. He has this one guy helping him do all this like outside stuff, lawyer stuff to like acquire things or protect people or the whole 9 yards. Sounds to me like you need some heroes for hire. You know, bring back Luke Cage and Iron Fist. I know a lot of people aren't too pleased with Iron Fist, but you know, again, it was a combination of maybe bad ideas and a difficult story to tell. But in the end, I think you can still preserve the characters and the actors who played them and bring them into this new world because it's a perfect sandbox. It is literally a perfect sandbox. You can do so much with Daredevil and still have this Oscar award-winning story, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, there's so much left to tie in. It's going to be so much fun seeing what they do with it. And just knowing that Jessica's coming back, it bodes well, I think. It bodes well for people who were fans of the older stuff, because there was a lot to like there. I did really enjoy, I think the first season of Jessica Jones I loved as much as Daredevil. I remember really liking season 2 of Iron Fist, and I don't even remember why. I just remember really liking it. And
Jessica Henwick.
Yeah, she's so cool. They have to bring her back too, right? And we already know, I think, that Night Nurse is coming back in Spider-Man. I think that's been confirmed. So that world is there to play with, and Mike Coulter was a perfect Luke Cage, and I know he's down, you know, if the need should arise. So I think it's only a matter of time that we're in good hands with this show. We've got at least 4 seasons of it to look forward to, and I'm excited, especially if they do the shadow thing.
They've already planned their start date for season 3 in terms of filming. So we're in a good spot.
They're going to be a yearly show. Remember those? Remember shows that would come out once a year at the same time?
Yep.
Jeez. Are we both giving this show a gauntlet? Is that what's happening?
I'm giving this 2 gauntlets, snapping fingers.
You created a new ranking.
Snapping the whole thing. Because honestly, like what more can we say? Like, we didn't even like analytically look at it. We literally just celebrated what was like an amazing show.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there was nothing to analyze. We were just like, the pretty colors and the karate. Yeah,
the karate.
Yeah, a gauntlet for me. I might save the second gauntlet and the snapping for when Kingpin and Spider-Man meet, because I need an extra step to go up to for that, because that's too special. But yeah, it's a pure gauntlet as far as I'm concerned too. I don't think I can recall a single episode of the show, and it's been a year and I haven't revisited it at all yet, but I can't recall a single episode where I was like, this is a bummer, I'm not enjoying this one. One last thing to mention is that they managed to do something that, in my opinion, you might disagree, Ryan, but in my opinion, as good as the Netflix shows could get, all of them had the same problem, which was their pacing was garbage.
Yeah.
And Born Again's pacing, yeah, loved it.
Yeah. No, there was no rest, but you didn't need it. Exactly. Like, honestly, that show was just constant. It was amazing. Oh my God. I cannot wait. Give me more Daredevil all day, every day.
Oh, we're getting it soon, buddy. It's creeping up. But that's what we have to say right now for this month, for January, for On Your Left Part 1. But you know, Captain America lapped us a few times, everybody. So when we come back next month at the end of February, we've got On Your Left Part 2, where we're going to catch up on Thunderbolts, Ironheart, and I forget the last one, and I think you do too, because it kind of, you know, went over our head. We didn't.
I can't, because you're wearing the colors already. Yeah, full circle, baby, full circle. Yes, no, I cannot wait to talk about the movie. And if you've been with us on this wonderful journey as long as you have, you know that movie being Fantastic Four, like, oh my God, that was the movie we've been waiting for ever since the MCU successfully took off and the possibility of having a Fantastic Four movie in the MCU. I've been waiting for that moment, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
I can't wait to hear you talk about it, dude. I cannot wait. It's like I'm just gonna sit back with popcorn and just bask in your happiness. It's gonna be
there will be no dialogue. It will be a super long monologue for that particular movie for sure.
All right, sir. Well, that'll do it for our premiere episode of the relaunch of Infinity Rewatch. I'm very excited. I know you're very excited, especially the people who missed us, because we had a lot of loyal followers on the show and a lot of people who tuned in every time we had an episode. And we thank you for being those people. If you're out there listening and watching, we really appreciate it. And we're very sorry to have kept you waiting for so long, but we are back and we are very stoked to dive back into this world, especially because there's a lot going on in it. And as Marvel's multiverse saga starts to come to its conclusion, we're getting more and more stoked, and we know you are too. So we're happy to meet you there to start talking about it again. But that'll do it for us for now here on Infinity Rewatch. I almost forgot our sign off, but I didn't, because I'm still kind of a professional. To all of you, we'll see you in a month. Until then, please have a marvelous day.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.
There's a